Are you saying that he can come in now? I don't know what that means.
Hey guys, I think he got me in here now.
There we go. Okay? There we go. All right, there he is. There's the guy.
No, my fault on the technical issue. Sorry about that.
No worries. It happens. You should have seen me yesterday. I had all kinds of special issues. so don't worry. Murphy's Law, right? What are you going to do? So first of all, guys, I want to introduce Justin. This is somebody that has had a big impact in my career that I've worked with several times. We worked together in the payment space, and we worked together in recruiting. This gentleman, which I referenced at the beginning of the show, he actually is the one that taught me how to do sales contracts and recruiting, and taught me one of the most important lessons that I learned about sales, which is that it's about doing things right and about doing things ethically. And that just because somebody else does something a certain way, you might need to rethink it, because every single business is different. So that was awesome. So thank you, first of all, for that. He now is working in marketing in the payments industry, which is a fascinating space. So tell us, if you could, Justin, first of all, a little bit about your career evolution.
Sure. So for me, the payment space wasn't exactly something that I, grew up wanting to jump into, right? It's not one of those little kids' dreams that I want to be a payments guy when I grow up. And so, which I think speaks a lot to a lot of the things you guys are hitting on in the show here today as well. It's one of those things where an opportunity came along. I was 20, 21 years old or something when I first got into payments. It was one of those deals where I was just looking for something different. I was looking to see what was out there and trying to keep myself open. And I got into it and looked around and thought, man, there's a lot of opportunity here. Credit card payments and electronic payments are not going anywhere. This was somewhere circa 2005-ish, I guess. And so I started off as an outside, 1099 commission only rep in that industry, like I think a lot of folks do. And just kind of worked my way up through the ranks, and ended up actually moving from Cleveland down to Dallas somewhere around 2007, I guess, to work for the company that I'd been doing sales for. And, the rest is history, I guess. And so, when I first kind of jumped into it, I was very much ingrained in the sales side of the business, and that's what I wanted to do. That's what I was having a lot of success with that. But as I got further into it, my path took me in a lot of different directions, as you well know.
Right.
So, I had the opportunity to kind of share some of those skill sets and be able to train some other sales reps over the years. And that was kind of my next step, I guess, in the career path. And I was always kind of that sales guy that could speak some IT too, right? So I could bridge a little bit of the gap there. And so I think that's kind of what led me down the marketing path. Right. And so there was actually a pretty long stint in there once I had started with that organization to where I helped them build out a marketing program for the company. And then somewhere along the way, ended up diving into some project management and product management type roles. And then, taking it full circle back around, I wanted to get back into the creative side of the business. And that's kind of what led me to where I'm at now. In the marketing role. And so that's something that I really enjoy. But I think in all of that, what I could tell folks is that keep yourselves open, be open to different opportunities. Don't box yourself in. Very few people have a really specific thing that they know they want to do. And that's where they're going. They might have a general idea or direction that they want to head, or they know the things that interest them most or what they like. But you can't box that in too much. You can't get into too much detail there,
and
or you're just cutting yourself off.
We've talked about that. We've talked about, don't let your resume define you. So that was an excellent point, to just let yourself, experience that evolution naturally. So you work in the payment space, and merchant services is one of those kind of unique industries where they kind of know everything before it happens because they see it. So they know how the economy is turning. They know what industries are up and coming. They know everything because they actually are watching the money move, right? So through all of this, what interesting trends have you been noticing in the last, let's say, month or so in the payment space, or what interesting kind of comments can you make about what's going on in the business world because of that unique perspective?
I think a lot of the things the space is experiencing right now through all the stuff are pretty pretty standard across the board. You know, that some of the same things that other companies are experiencing. You're going through the paces of trying to get everyone working remotely and trying to get things in place to be able to handle different types of communication with everyone working from home, and and all of the stuff that comes along with that. But one of the things that I've always noticed about the payment space, and one of the things that's kept me in it and wanting to continue down this path over the years, is that it's really, nothing is ever recession proof, right? But it's very recession resistant. At the end of the day, no matter what's going on out there with the economy, no matter what's going on with various aspects of business in general, payments aren't going anywhere, right? People still need to be able to accept money for goods and services, whatever those may be. And so you might see a lot of dynamics that shift a little bit in a situation like this. There are definitely going to be some laws and things. The space I'm in right now is actually in government payments. And so, as everyone knows, a lot of different government agencies and related have kind of been laying low, if not completely, closed to the public for a time. So, you got to work around those things. You got to get a little creative to kind of get through some of those laws and whatnot. But I think with payments, it's always, to me, when I see something like this, my brain immediately goes into, man, this is an opportunity for us when this is all said and done. Right. This is an opportunity. This is the time right now for us to start positioning ourselves to get in there even from a support point of view, we're reaching out very aggressively to our clients to see what we can do to help. Everybody needs help.
And that's key. Yes. And that is key. That reaching out to help people. I mean, even if it's, clients, coworkers, whatever it is, that communication is crucial right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there are so many ways that you can do that. Sometimes that's within, the program or the product or service itself that you offer. And sometimes that's just reaching out to touch base and letting them know you're there to back them up and support them when they need it. And, those things go a very long way. And I think that shows even more so in a situation like that.
So I agree with you completely. And one thing that's been going on, and I've been seeing a lot of very interesting comments and thoughts and all of that right now, is people are still trying to send out the kind of generic messaging for sales, right? And every time you get a LinkedIn connection, there's an immediate pitch. You're getting emails about this. As somebody who's in marketing and who's done sales for quite a while, what is your take on that? What is the best approach at this point?
I think unquestionably that first and foremost, it has to be the we're here to back you up, we're here to support you, we're here to help message, right? And that it's got to be a genuine, no strings attached message. I mean, if you're if you're not looking at it like that from a business point of view, then you're just not doing it right. I mean, it's you have to be able to. You have to care about your clients and your customers, and that this is the time to open that communication up and let them know and show them that that's the case. Now, for me, from a marketing and sales point of view, not to get too cheesy on everybody here, but I think when you really care and you're really trying to do the right thing in the first place, and you're trying to go out, the bottom line is, if it's good for your customer, if it's good for your client, then it's good for you. And in a time like this, there are so many opportunities to where you can go in and provide simple things, the simplest things you can imagine from a support point of view, that are a huge benefit, a huge help to them. And, if we put them in a better position to succeed and we're able to provide some of that support to them, that's going to be good for us long term. So I don't feel like I have to go out with this overly powerful or super strong marketing or sales pitch to be able to get someone's attention. I'm going out and saying, hey, here's some things we can do to help support you. Here's some things we can do to help you out.
100%.
And building that, either furthering the relationship that we already have, or with prospects and potential new clients, letting them know that this is how we do business. This is a chance to really show that the character, I think, of your organization as well, and build from there.
100%. And I think the same thing for candidates as well.
100%. I mean, that's exactly it. It applies both ways. So.
Yeah, that's actually, Catherine, you took my my thought there exactly. I was gonna ask Justin, say, hey, I want to tap into your marketing brain a little bit. And from an employer and a candidate perspective, what are some of the tips or tricks you have in this time that we're in. So you talked about really showing your character as a company from an employer standpoint. And some of the things, can you give us some specific examples about what you guys are doing in that space? I know that you're showing character and you're there to support them, and you're being, and you talked about being genuine in that support, right? It's not just lip service; it's actually coming through with some of that.
Right.
And I'm curious if you have specific thoughts on what an employer could do for their clients in that space, and then as a candidate or a job seeker, specifically on a marketing standpoint, how could they set themselves apart or show that same, I mean, I have thoughts on that, but I'm curious on yours, show that same level of support as a candidate to a potential employer?
Sure. I think from an employer point of view, I guess just to give a couple of examples. So, we have spun up a couple of programs over the last couple of months to help our clients better analyze and assess the payments that are coming in for them. Really, really big focal point for us right now is that, look, we offer all types of payments. So walk-in payments, let's say we're talking about taking payments for like a court, which is a very common client for us, right? A municipal court or a county court. Those guys may have been closed for a period of time, or maybe they had limited hours, whatever the case may be. I've got mine sitting next to me too, Kat.
I know we have a new guest, everybody. This is Yager. He is a team member of Titan, my company. He is also a service type animal for me, and helps me with seizures and things. So this is a working beast too. He has opinions apparently about what you're saying, Justin.
Perfect. I'm glad we could have him join. And so, a big thing for us is, these guys, we're doing walk-in payments for them. We have a call center that actually does live phone payments and kind of assists folks through the process. And then we have a really strong suite of online payment tools. And so a really big focal point for us is making sure that they have not only access to those online payment tools, but that they fully understand how they work, what options are available. And then to take that a step further, how are they communicating those tools out to their community? Because at the end of the day, as they begin to reopen and as things begin to get back on track, there's still this huge, caution that everyone's, putting on this to be able to make sure that things are safe, that they're doing it in a way that's going to, make not only from a safety point of view, but a community comfort point of view, making sure that people are comfortable getting back on track with things. So ultimately for us, we're doing a lot of additional analysis to help them better understand the products and services that they have now, how those might apply or help them with reopening efforts and things of that nature. And then we've even gone as far as to offer some various discount codes and things, without getting into all the details of it. But of course, online payments can be a little bit more expensive when it comes to the actual fees and things that folks are paying. And we've been able to go in and discount a lot of those things down so that those folks that would have maybe walked into the courthouse to pay their citation or their fees or whatever the case may be, can go online now and get the same rate and not ultimately, end up paying more money for it. So just a couple of examples, but I think you have to look at your business and, what portions of your business can you maybe give a little on to help the situation, right? And then, further than that, you got to guide people. You can't just put it out there and say, hey, we're doing this. You got to call them. You got to get them on the phone. You got to walk them through it. You got to, give them some insight and information because they're busy. They have a business or in some cases a city to run as well, right? And so they've got a lot going on, and the more guidance you can give them, the better.
I think that's what struck me the most, Justin, is what you're saying. I put that in the framework that I consider like this good, better, best mentality, right? Like there's a good way to be a vendor for a company. There's a better way, and then there's the best way, or a great way. And what you just laid out is like, well, we could just do this, but we ended up doing this and this, and then you even took it a step further, right? It wasn't enough that you kind of created kind of this alternative way that people can take payments, but then you educated them on how to use it. Then you stepped in and said, hey, well, now what else do you need? How else can you provide value? And I think that's where companies, and I would use the word delight. I think that's where the direction that I go when I'm working with different vendors or companies, organizations, is how can I delight you? How can I make it that impression? And people that are doing that well today in any industry, are going to be remembered, right? Like that court system, that system is going to remember how you guys came through for them in this time. when that vendor contract negotiation comes back up, I would imagine.
Oh yeah,
and that's definitely a positive side effect of it. But in the meantime, you also learn a lot, right? Sure. As you have these conversations and you get feedback and you walk these folks through the paces of whatever the program is and whatever it is that you're putting out there for them as a lifeline, you start to better understand your clients as well. It's incredible insight for the business. It's incredible insight for the future direction and other things that may come up. Right. I think part 2 of your question was around candidates, right? And how they can kind of differentiate in the same way. And I think for me, it's a similar mentality, right? It comes down to, in a nutshell, you don't just do things to get the sale, right? And that's sort of in a nutshell what we're saying, even from an organization point of view. It's the same thing with a candidate. You don't just go in there and spout a bunch of BS and highlight, the top line items on your resume. So they've already seen those. They've already skimmed through your resume. They've already seen the headers, and the categories.
Justin, you just touched on a really important and almost sensitive subject for me. My number one pet peeve as a recruiter when I ask a question is for somebody to go, well, on my resume, as you can see.
Right. Yeah.
I don't care. First of all, yes, I looked at your resume. I did see it. I'm asking you for your interpretation.
And when it comes across as disingenuous, but I think it's the mentality that you go into that conversation with, into that interview with, right? You're not going in there to just go in and go through a punch list. And that is especially important now. It's especially important now, right? Because if for the companies that are looking to grow their staff right now, it's new territory for them if they're looking at remote roles and things like that, right? So it may have been something that not more than a month or two ago they were completely uncomfortable with. I know hiring managers and executives in this space that I in a million years would not have had employees working from home if that was their choice.
Right.
They're either old school or that's just not their mentality and whatever. And I could see the argument for that even in the past in some cases, right?
Right.
But we're in a very different world now, and all of a sudden their eyes have been opened up, but that doesn't mean they're not still a little cautious. That doesn't, old habits die hard. And some of those things are still knocking around in their head around why they, that wasn't their approach in the first place. And so when you go into those conversations, in part, you got to put them at ease a little bit too. And you're not going to do that by just going through that punch list and highlighting your skills. You're going to do that by showing your real character, by telling, talking to them about the things that you're really passionate about, by talking about, to them about how your flexibility and what you can bring to the company in terms of willingness to be adaptable and to help their business grow and be a part of the team as a whole.
Absolutely.
So, I know it's a bit general, but I think the sentiment there is exactly what's needed in the job market.
Right. 100%. 100%. And I also want to address too, because you and I did work in recruiting together for a while. You weren't actually recruiting, you were doing sales, but we were side by side.
My short sabbatical from
very brief sabbatical. From what we've talked about earlier in the show, ethics. That was my whole bit today, was about ethics as you grow and that type of thing, and keeping those ethics. So when you're looking at hiring and HR and that type of thing, especially with COVID going on right now, what would you think are the most important things, ethically speaking, to be kept in the forefront, both on the candidate side actually and on the HR and recruiting side?
I mean, I think just general work ethic, drive, being driven, showing somebody that you're driven, having genuine interest in whatever, you might come across an opportunity and it's not in your normal interest wheelhouse, for lack of a better way to put that, right? It's not something that maybe you don't know a lot about it. Maybe it's just not something that in the past has gotten you excited. But if you can't find some exciting things about it and that will really help to drive and motivate you, no matter what the situation is, right? Then why are you there in the first place? It's anybody can go out and find a job, and that's fine. But you got to find something that drives you about it. And when you get into that conversation with an employer, any good hiring manager is going to be able to very quickly assess if your head's in the game. And what that boils down to at the end of the day, right, is, are you going to work for them? Can you, when we talk about remote roles, for example, right, can you be trusted with your own time management? Or are you going to work a full work day? These we're talking about roles where you're not reporting into anywhere, you're not clocking in anywhere, you're not, walking past a manager's office, your desk and whatever. It's a very different world. And so I think even from an ethics standpoint, a lot of that is going to be assessed based on the conversation and the character that you show in that conversation. Now, when it comes to the actual ethics themselves, I mean, I could talk all day about business ethics and making sure that you're honest about things, that you're a straight shooter, that you're doing things the right way. But if I don't trust you out of the gate, based on your general attitude and character and what you display to me, I'm just going to automatically assume that those things aren't going to fall in line later.
And you're right. Trust is spot on.
To be yourself and to be genuine with your interests. If there's something about the position or even the organization that you don't like, don't be afraid to even express that. I don't know that, now obviously you want to be a little careful around that, right? We don't want to start bashing.
Don't be weird.
But
we do have a segment on that later, by the way, folks. We do have a segment on that right after LeVar. Yeah.
I plan on keeping it all on in the background as long as I can this afternoon. So, but ultimately, it's just you get in there, and I think that's what I was saying. So ultimately, when you're talking to these guys, don't be afraid to have real conversations with them. I think it's more important now than ever that you're not just spinning a bunch of BS to try to promote. Yes, you should always be selling. Yes, you should try to sell yourself. Yes, you want to highlight the positives. But I think a little bit of realism in the conversation now will go a very long way in establishing, a better relationship out of the gate and starting off on a good foot where the ethics conversation is concerned.
Well, I think it tells a story. Right. I mean, exactly. if you're able to come with those types of thoughts and questions and potentially concerns, a good, solid employer is going to read into that and understand that, whoa, there's a little bit more depth to this person. There's a little, this candidate's a little bit on a higher level than maybe some other candidates. And I think ethics plays a part in that, right? Like to your comment, Justin, if there's something you don't like, I mean, obviously there's a professional way to do that, but bringing it up tells a whole lot about a candidate. Like they're not afraid to confront issues that they see in a real professional way. I mean, that just tells a ton of different stories. So I love that.
Absolutely. And that's from a hiring manager's point of view, that's a person I want working for me all day.
Absolutely.
I don't want someone that's just going to feed me a line every time I have a conversation with them, especially
100%.
And you can't build that face-to-face relationship. You can't read body language. You can't get the feel for some of the other, nuance that you normally would. I think it's really important to verbalize those types of things, again, carefully and cautiously in some cases, but ultimately, just have a very real conversation with them.
Absolutely.
Right. And I want to thank you, Justin, for coming on and for being flexible, and you stayed on extra long for us, which I really, really appreciate. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and everything. And guys, if you want to connect with Justin, he is on LinkedIn. If you are looking for employment, please go to careerlaunch2020.com and go to the opportunities page. We have dozens upon dozens of opportunities. So we're going to say bye to Justin. I know he can't wave to us, but we're waving to you. Bye.
I'm waving to you too.